Ella never imagined her life would shrink down to a cramped village kitchen and a man she barely knew. Raised to dream beyond the hills and muddy roads, she had hoped for more. More than peeling potatoes under flickering lights and enduring the silent glances of a husband who barely spoke. Marcus. He was poor by every known measure. No land, no pedigree, no ambition. At least that's what everyone said. The marriage was forced. A favor owed, a debt repaid. Her family called it practical. She called it betrayal. Yet Marcus never complained. He woke early, worked hard, returned late. No demands. No outbursts. Just calm, quiet presence. It made him hard to hate, but impossible to understand. The villagers didn't bother hiding their mockery. She could have married a doctor, they'd whisper. Look where dreams got her. Ella pretended not to hear, but the words burned. Every time she handed over laundry or collected eggs, someone had something to say. Her mother told her to endure. That's what women do. And so, she watched. Watched Marcus fix the water pump no one else could. Watched him help a child who fell from a bike and leave without even hearing a thank you. Watched how he spoke little. But when he did, his words landed with purpose. Not the ramblings of a broke man, but of someone who thought, deeply, deliberately. Late one night, she found him scribbling numbers on old receipts. Not bills, investment figures. She didn't understand most of it, but the precision of his handwriting made her pause. Why are you doing that? She asked, more curious than confrontational. He smiled faintly. Old habit. She noticed he never asked for anything. Not for more food, not for clothes, not for help. He seemed prepared, like a man waiting for something to end. Or begin. And the way he walked, shoulders straight, steps light. He didn't carry the weight of poverty like others did. It was as if he didn't belong in that world, and for a fleeting second, she wondered if he was hiding. But then the dishes needed washing, and the power went out again, and reality returned. Still, that whisper of doubt lingered. You like a voiceover version, of this part? Ella began noticing things that didn't add up. Marcus owned exactly 3 shirts, yet each one was tailored. His shoes, though dusty, were expensive leather. He repaired electronics no villager could name and read books not found in local shops. Every night, he scanned the news on his cracked phone, but it wasn't gossip he followed. It was global markets, board appointments, foreign mergers. Once, while sweeping, she found a stainless steel watch beneath their bed, sleek, foreign, easily worth more than their house. She confronted him. He looked at it, then at her, and calmly said, "It's broken." No explanation. No panic. Just moved on. She watched more closely. He never accepted help, but always offered it. When the village accountant's books didn't add up, Marcus pointed out the exact error, without looking twice. When the power went out during the harvest meeting, Marcus rerouted the generator wiring while others panicked. No one asked how he knew. No one thought to. He had a habit of disappearing for hours, claiming errands. One evening, curiosity won. She followed him, at a distance, careful not to be seen. He didn't go to the market or visit a friend. Instead, he entered an abandoned brick building at the edge of the village. She crept closer. Through a broken window, she saw whiteboards covered in diagrams, market trends, and names of companies she'd only seen in business articles. On one wall hung a faded photo. Marcus stood among men in sharp suits, shaking hands with someone unmistakably powerful. Her breath caught. Later that night, Marcus returned as if nothing had happened. He asked about dinner, fed the dog, and thanked her for folding the laundry. Not a word about the building. Not a sign. He knew she'd followed him. But Ella couldn't unsee it. She couldn't ignore the gap between who he appeared to be and what he was hiding. The poor boy her village laughed at was performing a role. And he was playing it well. "You followed me," Marcus said without turning, his eyes on the steaming cup in his hand. Ella froze. He didn't sound angry. Just tired. "I had to," she replied. "You're not who you say you are." He set the cup down. "No, I'm not." There was a long silence before he spoke again. "My name is Marcus Lang. CEO of Lang and Gray Holdings. Ella blinked. That name echoed in business news, attached to skyscrapers, technology patents, and multi-billion-dollar deals. She had assumed it belonged to a man in some distant city, surrounded by boardrooms and bodyguards, not sitting across from her eating boiled rice. I disappeared 2 years ago. On purpose, he said. Someone on my board was bleeding the company. I needed to find out who, without surveillance, without leaks. So I vanished. And chose this village? No cameras. No press. No expectations. It gave me space to watch and think. Ella didn't know what stunned her more, the confession or how calm he was about it. All the signs she'd ignored rushed back. His precision. His restraint. The watch. The wiring. The way he never needed to prove anything because he already knew who he was. You let them mock you, she said. He nodded. Letting people underestimate you is a powerful tool. They reveal more when they think you're irrelevant. Her mind reeled. This man she'd pitted, defended, sometimes resented. He had been 10 steps ahead the entire time. But what struck her more than the deception was his reason. He hadn't run from responsibility. He'd stepped deeper into it. Quietly. Alone. And me, she asked. Why marry me? Marcus looked at her then, really looked. Because you didn't ask what I had. You watched how I moved. You saw value in things others missed. That's rare. Ella said nothing. She wasn't sure whether to feel betrayed or honored. But beneath the shock, there was clarity. He hadn't just seen her. He had chosen her. Not for appearances, not for alliances, but because she noticed what others overlooked. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. They both knew everything had changed. Marcus began showing her more. There were files, names, financial trails, a pattern of internal sabotage buried under layers of clean-looking reports. One executive had slowly shifted assets into shell companies, eroding Marcus's control from the inside. Quiet theft, masked by loyalty and time. Ella asked why he hadn't stopped it sooner. You don't fix a leak by shouting, he said. You follow it to the source. He worked in silence. Clean data. Cross-checked timestamps. Scheduled fake meetings to see who reacted. Ella started noticing things too. Discrepancies in emails. Staff calls that didn't match public reports. Numbers that changed by decimal points, but carried millions behind them. They went into the city under different names. Marcus posed as a consultant. Ella played his assistant. At one of his smaller branch offices, she overheard whispers, something about a planned restructuring that would quietly erase Marcus from board eligibility. He said nothing but noted every name mentioned. The mole was close. Trusted. Someone who knew Marcus's moves before he made them. One night, Ella found a document he'd left out. Accidentally, it seemed. But she saw something he missed. A code hidden in the margin formatting, timestamps that aligned with missing funds. She pointed it out. He stared at her, surprised, then smiled. Didn't expect you to catch that. She had. Because she paid attention. Because she'd spent her life being unseen and had learned to see everything. When she asked what came next, he handed her a flash drive. This ends it. But I need to get it into the right hands. Quietly. There were risks. If they were discovered, everything unraveled. Ella offered to deliver it herself. He hesitated, then handed her a second drive. Empty. If something happens, break this one in public. Make noise. The real one goes in your bag. She left at dawn. Head down. Heart steady. The quiet girl from the village was now the key to a billion-dollar trap. The moment the media caught wind of Marcus's return, chaos rippled through the company. Stock stalled. Boardrooms whispered. Those who had once claimed loyalty panicked. The traitor acted fast, releasing documents and emails framing Marcus for embezzlement. A press conference was scheduled, one meant to bury him for good. But Ella didn't flinch. She stepped forward, took the stage, presented the original files, the time-stamped codes, the money trail no one else had noticed. She spoke clearly, precisely, her voice cutting through doubt like a knife. The boardroom, once indifferent to her presence, was silent. They listened. Executives who'd never acknowledged her before began asking questions. Investors called her sharp. The media dubbed her the wife with the data. But titles didn't matter. What mattered was the truth. And she had it. Marcus moved in parallel, meeting with silent allies, consolidating evidence. Slowly, those who doubted began to pivot. One by one, board members reversed course, sensing the tide shifting. The traitor, cornered, grew sloppy, sent one wrong email under pressure. That was all Marcus needed. Ella walked into the final vote, with a document the others overlooked. A minor clause in an old merger, one that gave Marcus full authority during an integrity breach. She handed it to the chairman without a word. The room erupted. Not with shouting, but with the sound of collapsing schemes. The vote passed. Marcus was reinstated. But eyes weren't on him. They were on her. The invisible village girl. The quiet one. The one who listened, observed, and struck when it mattered. The same people who had once dismissed her now followed her lead. Respect wasn't given. She had earned it. Marcus didn't take back his title with noise. He walked into his old office, nodded to the staff, and got to work. No speeches. No revenge. Just action. Decisions were made, systems secured, and the rot cut cleanly from the structure. The company healed under quiet hands. But the world outside had changed. Ella, once a name buried behind introductions, was now requested in meetings. CEOs asked for her perspective. Not out of courtesy, but out of respect. She declined the spotlight. Fame wasn't her goal. But when she spoke, rooms went still. People wanted to know how she saw what others missed. The answer was simple. No one saw her coming. She returned to the village once. Alone. Just for a moment. Walked past the homes that had once pitted her. No one dared speak now. Not out of fear, but awe. She had stepped into fire and come out refined. Marcus met her back at the estate they now shared. Not a mansion of gold, but a place they built together. Quiet, sharp, enduring. He asked if she'd ever imagined this life. She said no. She had imagined a life of silence, service, invisibility. But now, she lived with purpose. Influence wasn't about power. It was about knowing when to act and having the discipline to wait. The girl who once scrubbed floors was now the one cleaning out corruption. Not with force, but with clarity. And beside her stood the man who saw her worth before anyone else did. Let me know if you'd like a video script version, F, or a short trailer summary, F, for this story. Months passed. The company stabilized. Profits returned. But Marcus didn't chase expansion. He chased integrity. Every hire was vetted. Every contract audited. Quietly, methodically, the empire rebuilt itself, not just on numbers, but on trust. Ella became his unofficial strategist. She never asked for the title, but her insights shaped major decisions. When a new deal came from a foreign partner with spotless credentials, she spotted a clause that would have locked the company into a silent takeover. Marcus canceled it within the hour. They built something different, not just a company, but a culture where being overlooked didn't mean being underestimated. Where quiet thinkers, once passed over, were now the first consulted. Word spread. Other CEOs began adopting similar models. One called it the Ella principle. Listen to the ones no one sees. Meanwhile, the traitor faded into legal obscurity. No grand trial, no headlines. Just erased influence. Marcus made no effort to gloat. Ella didn't need revenge. They both understood that dignity was louder than scandal. And at home, life stayed simple. Morning tea. Long walks. Books marked with notes in the margins. They didn't chase legacy, they lived it. Not by being loud, but by being right. If you'd like, I can help create YouTube voiceover script, F, or title plus thumbnail combo, F, that fits this story perfectly.